restart the recording. So I see people on here, and I remember so many times when I first was starting out 2 years ago, running a class and nobody was on live. That happened to me multiple times, or one person was on and they dropped off. And it just goes to show you that if you keep going, then you start to build some momentum and you start to build some traction, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. But a lot of having a business is having endurance and staying in the game. So I'm not saying the 6 people plus me that are on here is like, the most in the world that's ever been on a webinar, but I'm pretty proud of it. And you should be too when you get to those numbers. So anyway, I'm really glad to do this, and we're going to hop in. So if I glance down, it's because I am looking at my notes. So have your pen and paper ready, and then I'm going to go through the 3 steps right now. And we will have time for Q&A, so I'm going to really focus on answering anything that comes up in the chat at the end. But please do type questions as you have them. That way they're fresh, and then I will be answering them at the end. So, all right. So the very first step to creating content consistently that attracts clients is to get clear on your message. And I feel like that's something I share all the time as a first step for business, first step for working with people. I tell my clients, I teach the 4O framework is what I call it. The first step of that is optimizing your message. So message is really a foundational step, and that's not going to change with making content. And that is definitely one of the hugest pitfalls that I see people make, is that they go straight to thinking, I need to get all this content out, but they don't know their message, so they don't know what they're going to say. And so then it's like this kind of circular thing where they're attempting to actually produce the content that they plan to produce, but they still don't know what they're going to say. So they're not actually getting at the root or heart of the matter. So the reason that a compelling message really helps in this whole process is because it is the source of all of your content. I can come up with, if I know your compelling message, the way I teach it anyway, the way I structure it, and I know what yours is, I can come up with 20 ideas of things you can write about pretty much on the spot. So it's super important. My message is really around, I believe coaching is going to change the world. So I choose to work with coaches to help them forward their message and create more impact. And the way I do that is through the 4O framework. So I really believe that people need to optimize their message, to own their approach, to openly give content and give value to the world, and to make offers. So that's the 4Os. And that's the parts of what I teach that I think are crucial to business and are crucial to writing and copy. And I started as a copywriter, and I still am a copywriter, but there's all these pieces that go around it. And all too often we think that our content or our copy is just going to be a Band-Aid that we can use to hide something, or to like cover our insecurities around things we were not sure of in our business. And it's not the case. So the whole system, it's a system. It's not just a piece of copy. It's not just, oh, I'm making a sales page and this is suddenly going to do something for me. Like, that's not necessarily the case. So the first thing is you get to be clear on your message. So if you have questions around that, the best way and what your message is for you, the best way that you can ask that and get support with it on this call is to type in the chat box right now what you think your message is. And then we'll go over, I'll give feedback at the end. Yes, that's how we'll do it. So that was step 1. Step number 2 is to have a really clear intention for really what the month is about. Like, we're going to talk about planning for a month. If you want to plan further out, you can. I really recommend, especially if you don't already have a consistent plan happening, to do it for a month. So planning out for a month, like, what really is the intention of this month? Am I just giving content because I know in a month or two that I'm going to be launching something, and so I'm going to just give out content and really build a relationship and an audience for this month because I'm warming them up for that? Or maybe you are in the middle of selling something, and so it's more about generating interest and calling people to action to get them on the phone. So whatever that is for you, it's super important to get clear on what that intention is, which is, again, these 3 steps are born from pitfalls that I see people making. They go out there and think, oh, I need to post every day on Instagram, and there's really no intention behind it. And I really especially see this with Instagram, because you can spend a lot of time curating cute photos and writing captions, but it really doesn't convert to people moving forward with you. And so is that really time well spent or not? And I'm just going to say that for most earlier on entrepreneurs who are still building an audience, it probably isn't, especially coaches, not necessarily as much of a platform I would invest a ton of time in. So that's just my take on it. Okay, so that was step number 2. I'll recap all of these. Step number 3 is to, once you have the plan, so again, I'm going to show you that soon, you execute on the plan. So I feel like that's kind of like, duh, but so many times, and I've been there too, like I would make a plan and then I wouldn't do it. And I would be getting a week into the month or 2 weeks into the month. And then I would just say, you know what? Well, it's too late now. So I'm just going to restart it next month or do it another time. And like, that does not help anybody. So there's a couple things going on here. First of all, did you actually set up a plan that was stretchy and attainable? Because if we're going from not being consistent with our content to having something planned every single day of the month, that's a huge jump that is likely not possible to make unless you have a huge team around you to support you with it. And, you know, or you go from not doing any content really to doing like one thing a week, and you, at the same time, your intention is to fill a program within that month. That's probably not going to be enough to reach your goal. So actually executing, but making sure that when you set your goals, they're stretchy and attainable is super important. And that is the number one thing for, like, one of the things that I want to say that I feel like people don't want to hear. Sometimes, I don't know if any of you are in this boat, but it's so important to get support. Like, get support with what you're doing and creating a system and working with other people to get it consistent. And what I mean by that is working with somebody like me to really get clear on how to write, how to come up with content, how to actually do that in a confident way. That's part of it. And then part of it is also just in the technical execution. I wasted so much time in my business in 2 conversations that didn't serve me. One was, well, I can just do it myself because I know how, so I'm just going to do that. And the second thing is that, well, I don't know if I'm going to make any money or I'm going to make enough money to pay a team member, so I'm just going to do it myself. And neither of those things were particularly helpful in the long run when I look back, because, and I totally get it when it feels like there's some money scarcity happening, that it can be like, okay, well, I don't want to be on the hook to pay somebody in my business. But when I started to open up to having team again, which was really only pretty recently, over the summer, I've like kind of had a team, I had a VA, and then I like regressed. I feel like I got rid of it for a long time and didn't have any support. And then I started opening back up to it again. And it's not really a coincidence that once I did that, my monthly revenue basically tripled. And it's been tripled ever since. I mean, not every single month tripling, but since like right before I got the help to after the help, each month has been triple that month of like before I got the help. And you know what? It's like, and I can do a lot of this stuff myself, but here's the thing. It's not the best way for me to spend my time. The best way for me to spend my time is to share my knowledge on classes like this, to actually fulfill on my services, to manage my other writer in the agency side of my business, and to really generate leads for my strategy coach to talk to for other things we have going on. And that's like really the most important stuff for me. And it's not loading an email in Infusionsoft or whatever. So it's super important to really be honest. And what I had to open up to was the fact that when I first had a VA, she was starting to charge around $40, $50 an hour. And this other VA I found recently, like a few months ago, was $20 an hour, and she was great. So there really are some people that you can find for that are high quality. It may take a few tries, but there are ways to find people that are high quality that don't cost a ton of money, and it's possible. So open your mind to getting support in some ways. And we're going to talk more about that when I go through the class. Go through it. Sorry. It's kind of weird. I set my computer on my bed for these because this background's a lot better. And my room and my office are one and the same. That's living in California for you. So that being said, let me go through those 3 steps again, and then I'm gonna screen share, and I'm gonna go into actually planning out my January for you guys. Yay! Or ladies, I should say. So step 1 was to get clear on your message. Step 2 was to get clear on your intention for that month. And step 3 is to execute on the plan. Woo! So if you have any questions on that, we can go over it later. I am going to share my screen. Let me just clear this message I got on Facebook so it's not distracting us, because I'm going to show Facebook for this. Okay, so here we go. Sharing my screen. So one of the tools I recommended in my Sunday newsletter is a Airtable calendar. So Airtable is just a way to create a calendar for your content that is something that's kind of on the cloud that can be shared. Another way that you can do this is, of course, using Google Drive and using a document. So let me just share with you how you can do that really quick, because I feel like these are the tiny little things that really help people. So if you wanted to do a calendar, I highly recommend, first of all, that you do have a calendar on a cloud of some kind. So Airtable is a cloud service. Google Drive is a cloud service. This means that you can share it with other people virtually. So the reason why is because even if you don't have a team yet, you're going to someday, and you're going to need to have stuff in place where you can share things virtually. So it's just a fact. And I recommend you just start doing that. So if you have a real affinity to plan on paper, that's fine, but it needs to get transferred to a digital form. I've had, these are, so a Google document calendar and Airtable are the 2 things that I've used, and that's it. Other people have asked me, oh, can I somehow use my Google Calendar to do it? And I just personally don't see how that would work, and I wouldn't really like it. So I don't do that, but I suppose you could schedule where you plan to send it and the topic in a Google Calendar, and that could be a way of doing this as well. So here's how you would do a Google Doc. You would go, just search either January 2019 calendar. So you could look up a template already in Google, which I actually don't usually do, so I don't know why I did that first. But what I usually do is I click Word Doc, because there's this website called Win Calendar where you can generate any calendar for free. It does have their branding on it. But when you download it, so here's the file. I already just downloaded it, right? So what I could do is I could just go in here and upload this. Well, it didn't work. And then I open it as a Google document. I hope this is helpful, because I just feel like these little things, people wonder how to do it. So I'm just going to go through it. So I uploaded the doc right into my folder, and then I actually, when I try to open a doc file, it automatically prompts me to open with Google Docs. So I do that. And then here I am, January calendar. So you can obviously clean this up if you don't want any of the notes or any of the stuff from where you got it from, but then you can just fill this in with typing. So that's awesome. And then Airtable, that's what I'm actually using. So we're going to go into Airtable and fill this out first. So the first thing is getting clear on my message. So I told you what my message is. I work with coaches because I believe coaching will change the world. And I have the 4O framework to guide them in actually all the stuff that goes around creating great copy, including the great copy. So that's super important. It's not just one thing. It's a myriad of things that can create success. So my intention, this is step 2, my intention for January is to get clear on, not get clear on, I don't know why I started saying that. My intention for January is to really give and warm up my audience, start the year strong with some great valuable content, and really give, because I'm going to launch a special project, a really awesome series in February. So I'm going to be launching that then. So I want to just give to my audience, and I will have some spots open for my one-on-one mentorship. So I'll probably have a few calls to action during the month, but it's not going to be the main focus of the month. The main focus is going to be giving some great content and doing some things that I've been wanting to do. So I'm going to go ahead and, knowing that intention, fill in the week, or sorry, the month. And here's a little thing. Sorry, I got some messages. So I want to show you guys how you can make this simpler and easier for yourself. So what I really want to talk about all month is the 4O framework, each step of the 4O framework, the foundational steps that I believe people need to have success with their copywriting. And I just know that back in August, I think I counted, it's 11 lives about different parts of my framework and aspects of it. And they were pretty short, like, as you can see, 12 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever. So if you want to go to my business page, you can see. So I'm just going to actually, in order to save myself some time, I'm going to be using these lives as basis for written emails and blogs that I'm going to be sending out to my list. So that's one thing that, think, have you ever given any Facebook Live, any webinar, any training? I'm assuming yes, because most of the people that I know on here at least have been in business, so they have some kind of material. If you don't, it's no big deal. So you'll just be creating it along the way. But if you have any kind of audio or video material of any sort, you can use that as the basis for written content, and that can reduce some of the time for you to actually create the content, which can be very helpful if you are working alone or with a very small team. So let's start filling this in. The very first thing that you want to do is actually fill in, let me minimize this. So you're going to fill in when you are like doing something that impacts your availability, just so you don't forget it, because, shoot, I'm going to look up the dates for something, because that's going to impact not necessarily whether you can post or send something, depending on what it is, but it is going to impact what you're actually doing that day. So let me just check in with the chat real quick. Cool. Okay. Just making sure you guys don't have questions. Remember, as questions come up, please do type them in the chat. I'll be going over all of those at the end, and we'll also have an open Q&A. So I'm just pulling up my calendar to look at when I have travel. So I'm actually, oops, cool. So that's what I thought. So I'm actually going to be in Miami for a few days for an event. And then, oh, my doggy wants to get in the room. The door's closed. She's like, knock, knock. I wish I could show you guys her, because she's wearing the most cute sweater that I bought her on Saturday. Okay, so I'm going to be definitely Miami day, like event, full all day, 25th and 26th. And then at some point I'm flying to Cancun. I'm just going to put it here. And then I'm going to be in a retreat. This is falling out of January, but a retreat February 1st to 8th. So I'm just going to note it in one square for now. Oh my God, my dog is like really trying to get in the room. Sorry. Kind of distracting, but you probably can't hear it that much. Okay, so that's just some stuff on my availability so that I can remember it when I'm planning what I'm actually going to be doing those days. And then the other thing you're going to fill in after that is, of course, anything you do on a regular basis. So for me, that's my insider newsletter that I just started to send every Sunday night. I know Sunday night is not the one, like the hugest day for emails, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm just going to do it Sunday night. And if people get value, they're going to open it on Sunday night. So that's my plan. So I just fill those in. You know, other of my clients do weekly Facebook Lives. So they would fill that in like every Thursday at 9 a.m. One of my clients does it. So we always email before that, which, side note, is something I recommend doing when you do Facebook Lives. So that would be something we would fill in her calendar. And that's the client that broke 7 figures this year. So it's working. Cool. So you put in any of the like regular emails you already do that are like a weekly thing or whatever. So then what I'm going to do is I am going to go into the new year with a couple of emails about like value. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to do I want to do a challenge, you guys. That's the part I haven't told you. That's in my head. But I've been wanting to do a challenge for a while because I super love to do them. And so I'm going to promote that. I like to promote any kind of class or event with at least 3 emails. And you can spread those out. You can keep them super tight together. So I'm actually going to do the challenge the week of the 7th. So I'm just going to do 3 promo emails right in a row. It might be like kind of a story arc or something. And then I am going to do possibly a we start tomorrow, which is like, that can be a promo to people that haven't joined yet. And then that can also be modified to actually be a delivery email for the people that have joined to remind them that we start tomorrow. And then the reason, so I'm really sharing like everything I can about why I'm making the decisions I'm making so that you can do the same. So I am going to invite people who do the challenge to book a call with my team to see if they're a fit for the last few spots of my one-on-one mentorship. So this is true behind the scenes, you guys. I'm not like hiding anything. So that being said, I am choosing to do it the week of the 7th in particular because I have this travel like kind of the last couple weeks of the month, and I want to actually have time to lead my strategy coach in having those calls and maybe take some of the calls myself, etc. So like the whole week of the 14th would be open and available to take those calls in theory. So there's time. And like, let's just say I decided to run the challenge the week of the 14th. Well, then I'm putting myself in a position where I'm going to be traveling. There's going to be calls happening, and like maybe there's going to be questions, or maybe like someone needs an agreement really fast, and like I'm not as responsive, or I'm not able to like say yay or nay to things if somebody, comes in wanting something or whatever. So it's better if the calls are happening the week of the 14th. So that's why I'm picking the week of the 7th. So you want to think, if I'm going to do a promotion, do I have the time and capacity to do what I need to afterwards? Whether it's sales calls or what have you. So super duper important. So challenge, there's going to be 5 days. And it's going to be focused on message. So here's another quick tip. I'm not going to put that in all the days. And then the final day, we're going to have a celebration / class. That's where I will let people know they can book time with my team. And that's something that I will invite to class other people. That doesn't make sense. I know that's not good grammar, but so that's like the people who didn't sign up for the challenge that are on my list. I can still invite them to that class because I'm going to do it on Zoom. So that's what I'll do, and just not make a big deal out of it. I'll do like one invite. And so then, great. Now, what I was going to say about the challenge, the way I like to do challenges is really think about what is the process you take somebody through. This is a part of your message. So when I work with you on getting clear on your message, I'm going to ask you to systemize what you teach and the process you take people through. So that being said, what is that process? You know, what steps do people need to go through to get their result? And for me, like I told you earlier, sorry, I'm getting a weird chill, but I don't want to get up and close the slider. Darn it. So the first step is getting clear on your message. And again, like how I would do a challenge is instead, right? So one way that people do challenges is they're like, well, I'm going to kind of cover everything under the sun. Like I'm going to do one day each of the O's is one day, for example. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying it will or won't work, but I believe that it's a better journey for the customer if you break down the first step into multiple days, into small bite-sized pieces. So that means that I'm going to talk about getting clear on your message and how to do that over the course of 4 days, with the 5th day being the celebration, the class, tying it all together. So that's what I recommend for you to do. And so whatever that is for you. Oh my gosh, you guys. Sorry, somebody's at the door, I think. I might need to go grab that. Hold on, I'm going to go take care of that really quick. Just kidding. All right, sorry. I thought it was my mom. I think she finally found her key or something. Okay, so sorry for that. It's always so annoying. Like, I don't know if you guys, that's ever happened to you, but it's like you're on the live and I've been on both sides of it. So I know like sometimes it's not that audible or disruptive to the people watching, but like for the person that's delivering it, it's super disruptive. And so it's like hard to stay focused. I don't know if that's happened to you, but it does happen when you start putting yourself out there. So, okay. So the challenge is going to be about just the message and getting super deep with it. So here's why I recommend that, because it makes them going further with you like a great next natural step. If I covered my whole system over 4 days, which by the way would be kind of hard to do anyway because it's a lot, but if I did that, then it's more like, okay, I gave you all the steps, go for it. And again, it's not that I'm hiding any steps, but it's more about, isn't this going to be a great arc for me to lead somebody through to get them clear on their message over 4 days? And then the last day, I'm going to go over what the other steps are in my process. And it's such a great idea. Like, I would love to work with you on it personally. Why don't you book a call if you're interested in that? And we'll talk about it. It's just like flows so great. It just flows awesome. So I hope you can feel that. I know that was kind of like the quick version, but it just flows super great for a challenge. So I'm going to do that challenge. I'm going to, when I say lead gen, that's something that I want people to book a call from. So I'm going to lead gen challenge people that day, and then the day after, and then I'm going to do it again. And then on Monday, and then depending on how we're doing in terms of getting interest and calls, optional lead gen here. So I do have sometimes some options happening. And then I am just going to send a couple value. So this is just going to be like an article or a how-to during the weeks when I'm gone, so I can just schedule them in advance or have my team schedule them in advance. And then, yeah, so that is the whole month planned. I feel like that's a pretty full month considering that I am traveling. And I am going to take a quick pause. So to close this door, so I'll be right back in like 1 second. All right. So now where do things go? I just filled in the calendar. If you have any questions about that, then let me know. If this was a month where I felt like I was taking off a lot of time around Christmas and I didn't know if I would have a lot of, time to produce content, then I would probably not do a challenge and I would keep it a little lighter. I am going to work around the holidays, so it's not a problem for me to create this. And I can also leverage, right? I'm going to be leveraging the lives that I did in August to help me. So all those factors considered, I decided that I would be able to do this. Okay, so that being said, what else did I want to show you? I want to show you then what goes from here. So what I do from here is this to me is the Bible of what I'm doing. And this is to me, this is the emails that I'm sending. So anything that's an email for me can be repurposed more or less into a social media post or something like that. So what I do from here, and I'll be honest with you guys, this is something that I'm still doing. However, I believe that it's something I will have my new assistant start taking over, is translating this schedule into this email tracker. So for the month, we would be putting in like, what is the email about? That's like what I put in the label in Airtable. When the date it's going out, the time it's getting sent, and then these are details that I use to help actually guide my technical VA in loading it into Infusionsoft. So some of this terminology may or may not be relevant to the email tool you use. And then I just generate the copy. So I still write my copy and I do it in a doc, and then I just link the doc here. So this is kind of like an overview of everything that needs to get scheduled. So that's what I do, because I think in spreadsheets. And then it goes out and gets done. Now I'm going to just share one other tool here, and then I'm going to let you in on a little treat, and we'll go into Q&A. So right here is Temi. So this is a service that I use to transcribe video and audio content. So I realized I didn't mention that when I was mentioning that can be a way to make things easier on you. So if you go to Temi, you can upload anything. You don't even have to download the file. Like I wouldn't have to download the Facebook Live video as a file and re-upload it. I could just copy the Facebook Live link into Temi when I'm logged in, and then it would do the transcription. It's a machine-based transcription, so it's only 10 cents a minute compared to rev.com. Last time I checked was $1 a minute. So it's literally 10 times as expensive. And when your video is 20, 30 minutes, that adds up a lot. So that's the scoop there. So I just wanted to show you that. And so this is how you really go about systemizing. And again, I really recommend that you get support with doing this. But that could look different, because it's probably not going to look like all of a sudden you go from doing it yourself to having someone else do absolutely everything, right? Like there's still parts of it that I do. There's parts of it that the other people do. And I'm constantly working on ways to give them more to do, because it frees me up more, but it's still a mix right now. So the way that it gets systemized is like, if I wrote this out in like a step-by-step process, I literally could, and it would translate, because, okay, you go through your, what's your message, what's your intention for the month, put it into a calendar, translate that to the spreadsheet. In my case, that's how I'm managing it. Then you would write the content, put it in that spreadsheet. Then the person would take it from there and load it into all of the tools. Like it follows a flow, and that's how you get systematic with it. And then you simply start to do it like now around, by mid-month, you start to use it and sorry. And then, so like, it's a matter of doing it and start working ahead. So I know we're at the beginning of December, but if you really want to start systemizing your content in the new year, I would recommend, and you don't have anything planned for December, you can make a plan, but I would also recommend planning for January too, and starting to get in advance and ahead of the game and block in time in your calendar to do your writing, that sort of a thing. Okay, so the little surprise that I want to share with you is that I am actually I have a special offer that I want to help you. I want to help you with this. So what that offer is a $97 1-hour call with me or my team member and head writer, Megan Kahak. I have two Megans on my team, funny enough. So there's Megan Davies and Megan Kahak. And Megan Kahak is my writer. So both of us work on a lot of projects. So you could get either of us. We're both very talented. And what this $97 offer is all about is a 1-hour call to actually do what I just taught you, to really look at how you can do it in your business with where you're at, with who you already have on your team. If you plan to have no team, like how can we make that work? How can we really systemize things for you? So that call is really going to be like half coming up with your system, and it might not be half and half, but like the goals of that call is to come up with your system. And then the other thing we're solving is we want to help you come up with, we want to help you come up with content ideas. So you'll walk away from the call with 20 content ideas, at least, depending on your message and what you have clarity there. And then you'll also have an idea of how you can start to systemize this in your own business based on what you have in place, what systems you have in place, etc. Because I can tell you what I do, and that's great, but it does really take, and I'm sure I gave you some ideas. I mean, I shouldn't speak for you, but I'm pretty sure you got at least one bit of value out of this. But imagine if you had me or Megan to walk through your own system, your own business, what you have in place, and come up with a plan that works for you. So if you want in on that, then I'm posting the link right now in the chat where you can go grab that. And I can't wait, because honestly, once you can get consistent with your content and have a plan, then you can really start to become an influencer and people can trust you more. I spent a lot of years of my business with my arms crossed, wondering why no one was buying from me, and I wasn't adding any value to anybody, and I wasn't putting things out there. And I just thought people would come to me and want to pay for my services. It didn't make much sense. So I've been there, so I'm not dissing it if you feel like you're in that spot, but it's time to do something about it. So how can we design a system for you to get content done and out there? Because I'm a stand for you to make whatever difference in the world you're meant to make. And it's not going to happen if you're not putting things out there and if you're not being visible in some way. So again, this is super customizable. Like if you're somebody that like is going from not having any content going out and you're not ready to like jump into doing lives, then we'll come up with a plan for you or how it could look for you if you don't have any audio or written content to repurpose. If you do, great. We'll look at that and see how we can use it. So again, I would love to support you with this. This offer is going to be good until Thursday night, and this is the first time I'm sharing about it, so get in now while you still can and fit into the calendar. All right, so enough of that. I'm going to go into, I would love to support you further, and I hope that is clear. Okay, cool. So I'm going to look for questions. So what I hear is, so Joanna said her message is to women entrepreneurs, hire me to help them build wealth and keep more of the money they make. Awesome. Okay. Women entrepreneurs hire me to help them build wealth and keep more of the money they make. So Joanna, if you take me up on this offer, or, if something comes to you immediately, feel free to share it in the chat. If you take me up on this offer, I would definitely be wanting to know, like, what kind of your opinion is on that. That's what I teach my message in terms of opinion and outcome. So I clear on the outcome with your statement, but I'm not sure what your opinion is on it. Like, what does that really take from somebody? What steps do they need to follow, etc. So I feel like knowing that is really going to be the missing piece that will help you come up with tons of content ideas. So Jessica, you're still on live, yay. Your message helping female entrepreneurs launch or grow their business through amplifying their message. Haha, we kind of both do that. And their tribe and creating income to have the freedom they desire. Awesome. So same thing here. I feel clear about who you want to serve. I feel clear on some of the outcomes. And I actually think you did a good job at creating, enticing outcomes in this statement. What I'd want to know more about is like what it takes people to get there. What's your process? Like drilling into that, because that's one of the biggest gold mines that you can have. Most biggest. Guys, I know I'm a copywriter, but the grammar, my speech, it's not always the best. So yeah, like what does it take to get there? What steps? And that is really going to be the gold mine of content ideas for you. All right. So anybody else, this is open Q&A time. So does anybody else, yes, highlight more of your process, and we obviously have access to each other offline. So, oh, sorry. But yeah, so highlight more of like I have that 4.0 framework. And so now, right, the content I shared I'm going to create in January is going to be all based on drilling down into those steps in different ways. And that's what really makes, sorry, I'm like out of breath now. All of a sudden, I don't know what's wrong with me. So that's what's going to make the difference for your people. Okay, anybody else? Do you have any? Hey, Jillian. Jillian just asked if this will be available for a replay. And yes, I will be sending it out this time. All right. So anyone else? I just need to turn off my camera for a sec. All right. Does anybody else have a question? I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. If I don't see anything come through, we will wrap it. But if you have any questions about any small step that I did, any tiny thing, even if you think it's insignificant, ask it, because if you're thinking it, someone else probably is too. And again, if you want my eyes or my team's eyes, me or Megan, on your business and how you can actually make a system that works for you, then take me up on the offer and we'll help you for 1 hour, you and me. And it's a very structured call. So we'll definitely, we'll get the result and you'll walk away knowing how you can systemize your content in the new year. Any last questions? Any questions about any of the tools? If I don't see anything, then I'm going to wrap it at 5:47 when it hits 5:47. All right. Thank you guys. I will send out the replay. I appreciate you being on live as always. And if you have any questions, feel free to PM me on Facebook Messenger, write me info@hollytack.com. I'll write it right here, info@hollytack.com, or you can find me online, right? Okay. Bye everyone. Have a good one.